Hi, I'm Carolyn. I am a junior at Johns Hopkins University, and I'm from Connecticut, and I'm studying behavioral biology.
Okay. What social justice issues, if any, are you passionate about?
Um, so I'd say environmental justice, um, racial justice, and gender equality. Probably the biggest ones for me.
Do you want to talk about why you're passionate about those?
Um, I don't know. I mean, part of it has just been something that's present through my whole life. Especially with the environment, that's just something my parents brought me up caring a lot about. I think in terms of racial justice and gender equality, gender equity, those have probably become something I've been more passionate about since starting college. I feel like I've just had more exposure to the types of injustices that are going on in the world, and so that awareness has made me more passionate and more involved about it. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a protest about these issues?
I have not. No.
Why not?
I don't know. I guess I have this impression of protests as just being very I mean, obviously it varies greatly between the different types of protests and different places or whatever, but I just feel like they can be very vocal and kind of impassioned, but maybe not always having a really clear purpose or a really clear cohesive message. So kind of everyone who's there is there fighting for, or because they're passionate about the same cause, but maybe they're not all united on their exact message or their exact goals. And so I sometimes feel that that's if I want to do something about an issue, that's not, for me, the best way to do it.
How would you talk about an issue then?
I don't know. I tend to I don't know, maybe on a smaller scale address issues. So if I'm with friends or in just acquaintances or whatever, and I see people saying something or talking about something, so I try to use those opportunities to educate people, or not educate or whatever, preach to whatever, but just try to help other people become more aware of what they're saying and how that can affect other people, or yeah, I don't know, kind of more of an interpersonal basis. I feel like I'm more effective in that way, at least.
Is there a specific example that comes to mind of a time that you talked to someone one-on-one about an issue like that?
So I can talk kind of vaguely about issues as I'm an RA, so I encounter a lot of different people saying a lot of different things in my dorm a lot, and so I feel like that's a position that I have. I'm in a leadership position there, that if I overhear someone saying something that a little bit microaggressive, I can step in and be hey, let's think about what you just said. And it's, being an RA gives me a position where I can address it without being not attacking the person, but coming at it from a perspective of hey, let's talk about this, let's talk about why that might be hurtful to someone else, let's talk about what we can do differently in the future. So I think that's definitely something I've been able to do.
Would you consider yourself an activist, even on the smaller scale?
I don't particularly consider myself an activist. I feel like I don't do enough to be considered an activist. I don't know. I feel like I guess my impression of an activist is someone who's who always stands up for what they believe in, and I don't think I necessarily accomplish that. While I do try to kind of talk to people on an interpersonal basis like I described, when I can, there are definitely instances when I hear things that I don't feel quite right about, that make me feel uncomfortable, that I know like would make other people feel uncomfortable, but that I don't really do anything about. And I feel like an activist is someone, not to say that like an activist always has to be like turned on about whatever like 100% of the time, but I just feel like I would need to be doing more to be able to consider myself an activist.
Do you think you are in a position where your voice is heard?
I don't know. I think it depends. So I think on different scales, yes and no. So in terms of like my peers, I think that my voice can be heard, in terms of like, especially at the university, in terms of like administration and, you know, people in those types of positions, not so much. I feel like there aren't too many avenues to have my voice heard, and the ones that exist, you know, they're there, I guess, but they are harder to get to. And I feel like generally I think peers are more open to listening to my voice maybe, whereas administrators might not be so much. So.
Is there an instance where you tried to voice something to a peer but they weren't listening?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What did you do in that situation?
So I'm thinking like back to freshman year, definitely. Some of my dorm mates were saying a lot of problematic stuff all the time, and so I kind of was trying always to like feel out how much I could say, you know, what people would be receptive to, and there were definitely a couple people who just like didn't have time to hear what I was telling them, and so I kind of, I guess after a point, tried to just distance myself from those people, because I didn't want to be associated with them. They just weren't people I wanted to be around, but also then that kind of left them, you know, they're still saying the things they were saying, but I felt like that wasn't necessarily at that point my job to, you know, I did what I thought I could, and so.
Yeah. Was there a time where you voiced your opinion to a peer and they did listen to you? Like you noticed a change?
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the interactions I've had with my residents, you know, we've been able to have some pretty good, like, informed discussions, not necessarily, like, people abandoning their original, like, beliefs or whatever and, like, still defending themselves, but at least being able to kind of see, you know, where I was coming from and see the value in what I was saying. So it's like, I don't know, they're hard discussions to have because it's hard to find a balance between like validating someone but also being like, you know, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing this so much, but even if you can't, like, you know, kind of bring someone all the way from one side to the other, but at least to kind of get them thinking about it, I feel like I've been able to accomplish that, which is nice when that happens.
Yeah, good. Okay, I'm done. Thanks.